Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is a very wonderful lecture by the most eminent Sheikh Sharawin. May Allah have mercy on him. It is a lecture in Kuwait about divinity. Sheikh Sharawin was the one that President Sadat ordered Egyptian TV to record for him because he wants to save his knowledge for generation to come to enjoy. And also he is the one to dare to tell the king of Saudi Arabia, King Abdullah, not to remove the standing marking stone of Prophet Abraham and Ishmael to widen the circulation. No other scholar could dare to talk to him, and the king kindly accepted because he knows the standing and the high esteem of Sheikh Sharawin in this nation. He is the most eloquent and most blessed in his soul. You can see when he speaks that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala clarifying his thought and his logic, and it reaches deep into your heart if you are sincere looking for guidance. Prince of Saudi Arabia, Sheikh Zayed, who is very well known in charity and good and loving, he visited him by Lady Nafisa Mosque in a small, humble building. It is like a sitting area, he teaches in it. He gave him, I think, like $1 million check. He took it from his hand, thanked him, and gave it to a person in the meeting. Say, give it to the construction person to build 10,000, to build like rooms for the 10,000 students come from Indonesia because they are poor. So he was not in it for the money. I was lucky to meet him and hear him and so forth. I collected all his Quran interpretation in one book, and I'm teaching it in our ultimate open Islamic college, free in Allah.com, Muhammad.com, Moscow.com. So you will find out that this man, he's really comprehended the whole humanity production since from the Greek to his time, to our times. And he knows what is what. I named this to Jordan Peterson, guidance for him to Allah and his Prophet, because I see him wandering like Prophet Muhammad ﷺ made one day a long line in the sand, straight path on the sand. Then he marked 90-degree roads on the right and left and said these are like each one of them having a Satan standing on that corner. So I see him sometimes stepping in some of these wrong corner, like detours, you know. So I feel sympathy for him. So you will see Sheikh Sharawin answering 2 questions, took long time. I'm going to be speaking little more than his words to serve it to help you understand, because he's speaking to Muslims, and I assume some of the people would be hearing me, not Muslims, so there are some terminology need to be clarified. I give you example. And if you see, the religion use a word from dictionary. So a word like cell, the medical, they use it for medical, like red and blood cells, red and white cells, while the police will use it in criminal cell, like gang, and the electronic, they will use it for like motherboard cell, okay? So I have to if he says self, for example, he's not going to say that. I'm just giving you examples, so I tell you he meant this and that. So I'll be very conservative. So I'm serving you and serving him, inshallah. So let us move on and hear him, okay?
عز وجل أهلا وسهلا بفضيلة شيخنا. هذه ندوة ستكون ندوة مفتوحة.
This is a coordinator of this meeting, like in a classroom in Kuwait, and he welcoming Sheikh that this is an open talk which anybody can ask.
شارك فيها الجمهور الأخوان الحاضرين هنا، فليجيب فضيلة الشيخ على الأسئلة التي ستطرح من الأخوان.
He will answer to any question which will be asked.
تفضل الأخوان اللي عندهم سؤال فليتفضلوا. تفضل.
This is the first question.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يتعمد بعض الملاحدة عن سابق قصد ومكر وإصرار بإثارة بعض الشكوك حول وحدانية ووجود الله سبحانه وتعالى. فنرجو.
Some of the unbelievers, every now and then, they kind of marketing doubts about the creed, in particular the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the creator. So
من فضيلتكم أن تبينوا لنا بالتذكير الأدلة العقلية التي.
So we will want Your Eminence Your Excellency to tell us logical mental proofs for the existence of Allah.
تثبت وجود الله سبحانه وتعالى وتقطع على هؤلاء الماكرين.
Exalted is He, and thereby we bypass these people, whether they are sincere and searching for the truth or they are cunning.
مكرهم وباطلهم وأضلالهم وشكرا.
بسم الله أحمده وأستعينه.
In the name of Allah, I thank Him and I seek His support.
وأصلي وأسلم على خير خلقه سيدنا محمد.
And I praise and venerate the best of His creation, our Master Muhammad. Having said that,
فما أكثر ما يتلقى المسلمون من مبادئ وافدة تشكك في دينهم تشكيكا يحاول أن يهدم البنيان من أسه.
there are a lot of plenty of doubts which is imported coming to the Muslim, trying to throw doubt in the foundation of their creed and faith, the divinity of Islam.
والتشكيك حين يكون في حكم.
When the throwing doubts is regarding a ruling, it is easy to defend it, and it is a simple matter.
يكون من السهل أن نقنع بحكمة الحكم.
And we can demonstrate the wisdom for such ruling.
ولكن التشكيك يعظم خطره.
However, that throwing doubt become extremely great when
إن اتصل بأصل العقيدة.
when it is to do with the foundation of the creed.
فما معنى كلمة العقيدة أولا؟
So what is the meaning of aqidah, the creed, the faith, about divinity?
حتى يصبح بحثنا عن بيان.
In order that our research will be very clear.
العقيدة مأخوذة من العقد.
Aqidah, creed, is taken from tying, like tying a knot, for example, and having some contract too.
والعقد رباط لا يسهل حله.
And the knot, it is a rope, is not easy to untie it.
وموضوعها لا بد أن يكون أمرا غيبيا.
So this is a linguistic usage of it, and its subject has to be unseen matters. It cannot be to do with the five senses. It means you cannot see it, you cannot hear it, you cannot touch it, you cannot feel it, okay? Which they call in metaphysics, right? Beyond the physique.
فالعقيدة لا تتصل بالمحسات أبدا.
So aqidah or creed has nothing to do with anything touchable, substance, physique, universe in front of you.
فلا يقال مثلا إني أعتقد أنني أجلس الآن في استوديو.
And of course the verb of creed from it will be believe. So you cannot say, I believe I'm sitting now in this studio
لأسجل.
in order that I record, because this is, you cannot use aqidah belief for that. It has to be unseen, okay?
ولا أقول أنا أعتقد أن جمهورا الآن أمامي يسمعني.
Nor I can say, I believe as a creed that the people in front of me are hearing me now.
ولا أقول أعتقد أن المصباح مضيء.
And I cannot say, I believe that the lamp is shedding light.
لأن ذلك أمر حسي لا مدخل للعقيدة فيه.
Because these examples are touchable substance. The creed and belief has nothing to do with it.
وإنما تكون العقيدة في أمر غيبي حجته من الآثار المشهدية.
However, the aqidah, the belief, it has to do with something unseen, beyond the physique, but it is related to something we can see.
لذلك سميت عقيدة.
Therefore, it's called aqidah.
العقيدة إذن اليقين
Means certainty
بقضية من القضايا
in a matter or an issue or subject, a topic,
بحيث لا تطفو إلى الذهن لتناقش من جديد.
that once it is spring into life is not going to be re-thought again to discuss it again.
فإن طفت مرة أخرى لتناقش من جديد فلا تسمى عقيدة.
So if it's going to come and to be discussed again, like kind of put the conclusion again, then it's not aqidah, it's not a creed.
إنما تسمى فكرة لا تزال محل الضرب.
In this case will be considered an idea subject to study. What Sheikh is saying here, like in the physique, we have theory about something till it becomes fact. This is in the physique. Beyond the physique, we have the creed, but before it is creed, it is subject to discussion. So you have a theory versus discussion of aqidah is not concluded yet. Then you have in material life, you have a fact, and in the spiritual beyond five senses, you have the faith, the aqidah, the creed. It's beautiful, analyze really.
فإن انتهي من درسها فكريا واقتنع بها الإنسان واختمرت في قلبه سميت عقيدة.
So once it is studied, became like fertilized in a person, become well cooked, comprehended completely, full agreement completely, then it become a creed.
أي ربطة لا يسهل أبدا حلها.
It means it become a tie, is not easy that you untie it.
وإذا ما أردنا أن ننظر إلى العقيدة بمعناها العام،
If we want to know the creed in its general meaning,
وأردنا أن ننظر إليها بمعناها الخاص،
and we want to also to understand it with its special characteristic,
فإننا نقول العقيدة بوجود إله واحد.
it is in brief to believe in the existence of one unique Lord, God, Creator.
وإلا فكثير من المبادئ الوضعية والمذاهب الحديثة يمكن أن يأخذ في نفوس مقتنعيها مأخذ العقيدة.
Otherwise, in the secular and different walks of life, you can see maybe people associate things as it is aqidah for them.
إذن فلا بد أن تكون العقيدة دائرة حول وجود الإله ووحدانيته.
Therefore, the creed has to do with only the existence and the oneness, the uniqueness of the Creator Allah.
هذه العقيدة حين نبحثها على لونين.
When we search this creed, we search it in two tracks.
اللون الأول نبحثها لنؤصلها في مؤمنين بها أولا.
We search it to establish it in the hearts of those who believe in it first.
وطرأت عليهم شبهات يمكن أن نحللها فترجع العقيدة صافية من جديد.
And maybe there is some contamination brought upon it, so we can clear it so they have pristine aqidah. This is the first track.
ولون آخر يحاول غرسها في من لم توجد عنده.
The second track is to kind of plant it or preach it or insert it on those who don't have it.
فلنحاول جاهدين أن نعالج اللونين.
So we do our best to take care of the two types or two tracks.
أما اللون الذي لا توجد عنده العقيدة بوجود إله واحد فيجب أن تكون مواجهته من واقع المحسلة.
However, those who don't believe in the Creator, when we address them, we have to address them from their physique, starting from physique, and we take it from there. So this will be the right approach.
المشاهد.
What they see themselves. We start the logical build up from what they see.
الذي لا نكران له ولا جحود. لأنه ما دام لا يعتقد بوجود إله واحد على مقتضى ما تقتضيه الديانات السماوية فهو إنسان لا يؤمن بغيبيات وراء المادة.
Because if he doesn't believe in the Creator came through the heavenly religions. Heavenly means Archangel came to Abraham, Moses, David, Muhammad, Jesus, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If he doesn't, then we cannot use this argument with him.
ولا يؤمن إلا بالمادة المحسة.
Because he only believes in the physical, touchable, five senses oriented existence.
فلننقله إذا من المادة المحسة لنصل به إلى غيب يجب أن يعتقد.
So the plan will be taking him from the touchable, what he feel of substance and what he see, we take him further to the metaphysic in which he become a believer. This is kind of our plan, our roadmap.
نقول له أنت أيها الإنسان.
So we'll tell him the following.
الذي ألحد فأنكر وجود إله كما.
You human being who decided to be infidel and deny the existence of the Creator, Allah,
تدعيه الأديان.
which the religion claims.
لا تشك في وجود نفسك.
You don't doubt the existence of yourself.
ولا تشك في وجود كون أنت تتصل به اتصال انتفاع.
And you don't doubt the existence of your surrounding universe, which have a relation with you that you benefit from it.
فإذا ما استعرضت نفسك.
So if you look at yourself
واستعرضت الكون الذي تنتفع به.
and look around this universe which you benefit from it,
وجدت نفسك سيد هذا الكون.
you will find that you are the master of this universe.
لأن الكون المحس لك لا يخرج عن أجناس.
Because the universe in front of you has limited classification.
تقرب منك مرة وتبتعد أخرى.
Some are close to you, some far from you.
فأقرب الأجناس إليك الحيوان.
So the nearest type to you is the animal type.
إلا أنك تتميز عنه بالفكر.
But you are better than the animals with thinking.
وبعد ذلك يأتي جنس آخر يقرب من الحيوان.
Then another type comes closer to the animal.
لأن الحيوان يمتاز عنه بالحس والحركة.
However, the animal has more mature feeling and movement,
وهو النبات.
which is the plant, the universe of the plant. So it is you, then you have the animal, then you have the next class down is the plant.
ويأتي جنس آخر
Then come another type
يتميز عنه النبات بالنمو.
in which the plants is having more characteristic than it, that it grow while the other one doesn't,
وهو جنس الجمال.
which is a substance like stones and dust and so forth.
فأنت بالاستقراء الكوني الوجودي.
So when you study and contemplate of this universe,
جنس بين أجناس.
you are a type amongst other types.
هذه الأجناس حيوان يقرب منك.
An animal closer to you,
ونبات يبعد عنك
and plants which is little far from you one stage,
مرحلتين وجماد يبعد عنك 3 مراحل.
and plant which is lower far from you again, then the substance will be far again from you.
فإذا ما نظرت إلى سيادتك على هذه الأجناس.
When you look at your mastership over all these types,
وجدت أن كل جنس أدنى يكون في خدمة الجنس الأعلى.
you will find that the lower type or category is serving the category above it.
فالجماد في خدمة النبات.
So the substance, like the earth, the dust, and so forth, is in servitude. It serves the plant.
يمده بعناصر غذائه لينمو.
Give it the element which will benefit it to grow.
ويمده بالماء.
And supply it with water, which is also like substance. It's not like animal or it happened to be liquid. It's not animal nor it is plant.
والماء جماد أيضا. وبعد ذلك يأتي ليخدم الحيوان أيضا.
So that then the plant comes and serve the animal in terms of food and movement and so forth.
ويأتي ليخدم الإنسان أيضا. فالجماد في خدمة الأجناس.
Then the animal will serve the human together with the lower categories. So all goes to serve the human. So the human is like the master of universe. Maybe you didn't understand this before this lovely explanation, right? Bravo, Sheikh. Keep going.
السلاسة التي تعلو. فإذا انتقلت إلى مرتبة النبات وجدت النبات في خدمة الجنسين اللذين يعلوان.
So you will see that the plant serving the two categories above it.
جنس الحيوان وجنس الإنسان. فإذا ما ارتقيت إلى جنس الحيوان وجدت ذلك الحيوان في خدمة ذلك الإنسان.
Then you go to the category of the animal, you found it in servitude, serving the upper category, which is the human being.
إذن فالإنسان سيد هذه الأجناس كلها.
So the human being is the master of all these types.
وكلها تصب في خدمته.
And all serving him.
كلام استقرائي منطقي واقعي.
So this is a conversation or presentation, very practical, very logical. All of us will agree on it.
لا يجادل فيه أحد.
Nobody will argue about it.
ولم نقل فيه قال الله ولا قال رسول.
And we didn't say Allah said nor Prophet Muhammad said, okay?
رسول الله. إذن فأنت أيها السيد قد عرفت لكل جنس دونك مهمة يؤديها بوجوده.
So you, master of your universe, you realize that every category under you has a duty in this life, doing it, taking care of it. Okay?
فوجب عليك أن تلتمس لنفسك مهمة تؤديها بوجودك.
So it is your turn now to have also a job to do for your existence. Otherwise, your existence will be useless.
وإلا كان وجودك أتفه من وجود النبات وأتفه من وجود الحيوان.
It will be useless and stupid. Like you will be more stupid compared to animal and plants and substance.
أتفه من وجود الجماد لأن هذه لها مهمة تؤديها.
Because they are carrying on their duty in this life, the wisdom of being there.
ماذا تصنع إذن وهذه الأشياء تصب في خدمتك؟
So what are you doing when all these are serving you?
إذن فلا بد في سلسلة الارتقاءات الجنسية أن كل جنس يخدم جنسا أعلى.
Since in this evolution that every type serving another one,
إذن فلتسر المتواليات الجنسية إلى القمة. النبات يخدم
and all goes up to the top.
الجماد يخدم النبات والنبات يخدم الحيوان والحيوان يخدم الإنسان. فوجب عليك حتى لا تكون أتفه من هذه الأشياء أن تلتفت إلى وجود شيء تكون أنت في خدمته.
So find out something that you will serve.
وإلا كنت تافه الوجود.
Otherwise, you are useless in your existence.
وكان كل شيء في الوجود خيرا منك.
And everything in the universe is better than you.
هذا يناقض أنك السيد.
And this negates that you are the master of the universe.
إذا فلا بد أن توجد لك مهمة تناسب سيادتك.
So it must be a duty, a job for you suits your rank.
ولكن ليس هناك جنس أعلى مني في مرئياتي.
But you don't see any type higher than you.
إذا فلا بد أن يقف العقل هنا وقفة ليجهد نفسه في وجود ذلك الشيء الذي يجب أن يرتبط به.
Therefore, the brain has to work harder to find out that thing which he's supposed to be serving.
وقفة عقلية.
It is like a crossroad, mental crossroad, logical crossroad to contemplate and work, do it better, harder thinking and analysis.
نقل قال الله ولا قال الرسول.
And so forth, we didn't say Allah said nor Prophet Muhammad said.
فإذا ما نزل نزلة أخرى وجد شيئا آخر عجيبا، وهو أن هذه الأشياء التي هي في خدمته بالواقع والاستقراء ليس له قدرة عليها.
Then if he look he will find things in the universe while it is serving you, you are not capable of controlling it.
يقدر غيره له لنفسه. إذن فوجب أن يبحث عن شيء أقوى منه.
Therefore, you have to find something stronger than you, like say the sun, which giving warmth to the universe to survive. You can control it. So you have to find what is the power which is greater than you that control the sun.
أقوى من الأجناس سخر ما لا يقدر عليه الإنسان لخدمة ذلك الإنسان.
In which that power made what human cannot control to help all these types to serve the human.
وقفة عقلية أخرى.
And this is another like a crossroad or a bridge, mental bridge we have to contemplate about, stage to think.
وشيء آخر أنك حين تترقى في الأجناس تجد أن الجنس الذي يدخل في مكنتك انتفاعا يتطلب النفع هو من شيء لا يدخل في مكنتك.
Even when you check things which is serving you is seeking help from things you are not in control.
فالجماد والنبات والحيوان في مكنتي.
Like say the plant, the animal, and the substance, you are capable to interact with it and control.
وفي مقدوري ولكنه في حاجة إلى أشياء أخرى ليست في مقدوري.
But it is in need of things is not in your control.
إن حاولت أن أسخرها تمليكا لا أستطيع.
You cannot own it and control it.
فالشمس التي تمد كل هذه الأشياء.
Like the sun which supply all this universe with light and warmth.
بحرارتها وضوئها لتؤدي مهمتها لا تدخل تحت قدرتك.
it is not under your ability.
والهواء لا يدخل
And the air, the oxygen, is not under your control.
تحت قدرتي والقمر لا يدخل تحت قدرتي
And the moon is not under your control.
والماء لا يدخل تحت قدرتي
And the water is not under your control.
وعملية تبخيره وتكثيفه لا تدخل
And the vibration and this and that is not under your control.
تحت قدرتي ومع ذلك تؤدي إذن فهي تؤدي لك وتؤدي للجنس الذي من الممكن أن تتملكه.
So these major things are doing their job for these lower categories we mentioned before and for you, and you don't control it.
كلما ابتعدت ملكية الإنسان للأجناس التي تخدمه كلما قويت نفعيته هذه الأجناس.
So the more that these items are far from you, which are serving, the more powerful and stronger it is which in its environment.
فوجب أن تدخل أيضا في متوالية أخرى.
So you should also put this in the consideration in your contemplation.
وهو أن ما يمكن أن يدخل في قدرة انتفاعا خدمته مترتبة على ما لا يدخل تحت قدرته تملكا.
That whatever you control it in terms of benefit, you don't control it in terms of ownership and ability to change.
الشمس والماء والهواء. إذن فوجب أن تتيقن أن ما يغيب عنك ولا يدخل حتى في حسك يكون أقوى من هذه.
Like the air and the sun and the moon, therefore you should realize that things which beyond your senses to reach are more powerful than what you see.
أشياء وهو الذي سخرها لك.
And he who subjugated it to you. This is like another bridge, analogical analyze.
شيء آخر أنك تجد نفسك تصنع أشياء.
Something else. You think sometime you see that you can make things.
من مادة موجودة توجد منها شيئا جديدا.
You take a material and make another material from it. So you make things from things.
فمثلا ذلك الكوب نصنعه ولكننا نصنعه من ماذا؟ من مادة مخلوقة لنا أم نذهب إلى جنس الجماد؟
So when we do like the chair or table, what we do, we go to the substance and we start creating or manufacturing it from there.
فنجد مادة كالرمل مثلا لها مواصفاتها الخاصة وبعد ذلك نأخذها بنشأ.
For example, we want to make glass, so we search, we find sand has some characteristic. We melt it and make sheets and make glasses from it.
الذهني فنزيدها حتى نصنعها عجينة ثم نصنع منها ألواحا زجاجية ثم نصنع منها أكوابا ثم نصنع منها من الأواني ما شئنا. فإذا ما سلسلت أي صنعة من صنعات الإنسان فستنتهي إلى وجود شيء لم يدعي الإنسان أنه صنعه.
So when you examine everything the man made, you'll find is leading to original things the man never made or create himself.
سأقول لمن صنع ذلك المكتب.
So I'll ask the one who made this table in front of us.
من أي مادة صنعت؟ يقول من.
From which material did you make this table? He will say from wood.
من الخشب والمسمار والغراء.
And the nails and glue.
فقل له ومن أين أتيت بالخشب؟
I'll ask him, where did you bring the wood?
استوردته من السويد.
He said, I imported it from Sweden.
فنذهب إلى السويد.
We go to the Swede.
يا سويد وأنت جبت الخشب من أين؟
Ask them,
من الغابات.
where did you get it? They say, we got it from the forest.
فنذهب إلى الغابات.
So now we go to the forest and we ask the forest, where did you get the wood?
لنقول وأنت يا غابات من أين أتيت بهذا؟ فلا تجد جوابا.
They don't answer. The tree doesn't know how the wood came to life.
فحين تنقطع الأسباب في يد البشر المعروف لك فاعلم أن قوة أخرى وراء تلك الأسباب.
So once you run out of reasons behind things, realize there is more powerful reason behind it.
فإذا ما قطع ذلك الفكر واحد من البشر يقول للناس إن
Then when this thought run to the wall, cannot go anywhere, then one human being,
اللغز الذي يبحث عنه عقلكم أن
a person come and solve the puzzle which your brain try to solve.
جئت لأحله لكم.
I come to tell you, to solve this puzzle for you and guide you to the conclusion.
أولستم تبحثون عن شيء أعلى منكم لترتبطوا به؟
I ask you, are you looking for something higher than you to tie with him, the knot? You will say yes.
أولستم تبحثون عن قوة أقوى من قوتكم؟
Are you looking for something more powerful than you? You will say yes.
ومن قوة الأشياء المسخرة لكم.
And more powerful than things which are subjugated to you.
ولم تسخروها بقدرتكم لتبحثوا
And you didn't make it subjugated to yourself by yourself.
عمن أخضعها وسخرها وهي أقوى مني ولا تدخل.
You are looking for who subjugate to you, which in itself very powerful, and he is of course all powerful, absolute power.
في ملكي فيقول نعم.
You will say yes.
ألست تبحث حين تسلسل الصناعات إلى موادها الأصيلة.
When you start tracing all material to its original material, the first of it, aren't you looking for who did that?
إلى من أوجد هذه المواد التي
Who made it to exist?
أنشأت منها هذه الصناعات.
That you build from it all your manufacturing? You will say
فيقول
yes.
نعم. يقول أنا أدلك.
I say
القوة التي تبحث عنها
I am,
اسمها الله.
I tell you, the one power you are looking for, its name Allah, A-L-L-A-H. It is Arabic word for the creator, and it is in Hebrew and Semitic languages, okay?
وأنا جئت لأبلغك عن الله.
And I came, means a prophet, I came to report to you, to let you know from him.
أنا لم أجئ لأعرفك الله وإن
I didn't come to let you know Allah.
إنما جئت لأعرفك مراد الله.
I came to let you know what Allah wants.
ومعجزتي أنني أستطيع أن آتي بشيء أنت نابغ فيه وأعجزك فيه.
And my miracle, I challenge you in one thing, you are very expert on it, and I challenge you in it. The Sheikh is referring to like Moses. They were very good in magic, so Allah make him use his staff, and he went against the people of magic. Prophet Jesus in his time was top. They are top in medicine. He Allah made him to raise the dead. Medicine cannot do that. And Moses, he has a stick, used it in a way the musician knows this is not magic. It's not the way they do magic. And Prophet Muhammad came, he doesn't know how to read and write. For 40 years, he doesn't know how to sign his name. And he never went to school. Then he comes with a great manuscript and he started speaking in very eloquent after Archangel came to him with the Quran, where they were the top in eloquency of Arabic language, that they have annual competition. They hang a poem 10 for the whole years on the Kaaba. This is the best person who spoke. A language having 1 million roots, this line has 1,000 names, is big thing, big time. Okay? And I was not skillful in what I'm challenging you, which you are. So when a prophet comes with a miracle to tell us that, either we believe him because he guides us to something we are looking for it, searching for it.
ومن دلك على شيء أنت تبحث عنه سيظل ذلك الشيء محل اليقين منك.
So if somebody guides you for something you are looking for, it will continue to be certainty in your heart about it.
إلى أن تأتي قوة أخرى لتقول لا هو كاذب وإنما اللب.
Till maybe we suppose there is another power more powerful than that prophet can come and prove he's wrong or liar.
فعل كل ذلك هو شيء آخر. فتثبت الدعوة للرسول إلى أن يوجد مدع آخر بحجة أخرى أقوى من الحجة.
So the messenger automatic win the day, win the argument, win his presentation, till somebody comes and change the situation, coming better than him in everything and prove that the prophet is a liar.
التي جاء بها الرسول. أبونا مثلا في مثل هذا المكان ثم وجد الموظفون هنا بعد خروجه.
Let me give you an example. In this place here, like 5 o'clock, everybody leaving, then they found a wallet full of money.
حافظة نقود. وجاء واحد من المشاهدين بعد ذلك ليقول فقدت حافظة نقود.
Then one man came later and said, I lost my wallet.
فادعاها لنفسه.
He claimed it for himself, like prophets say, I'm a prophet in a way.
فجئنا بكل من حضر فلم يدعها لنفسه.
So we called everybody was here. None of them said it's mine. Only this man said it's mine. So it is his. Till somebody else comes and said, no, it was mine, then we can settle this accordingly.
فلمن تكون هذه الحافظة؟ هي لمن ادعاها إلى أن يأتي مدع آخر يقول لا هي لي بأمارة كذا وكذا وكذا.
So, how you settle this? You will leave it for him till somebody else come with signs to prove it is his.
فحين يجيء الرسول ليقول القوة التي تبحثون عنها هي الله ومطلوبه منكم كذا وكذا 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 نقول له أنت شفيت نفسنا إلى أن.
So when the prophet, the messenger, come to us and tell us, I come from Allah to tell you what he wants from you so you can serve him, because this is your existence, as Quran said, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. I created jinn and human to worship me. So you are looking for that role, and I'm coming to tell you. So we will accept the messenger, tell somebody else come change the circumstances. And guess what? Moses came, or Abraham. Nobody came and said, no, forget about Abraham, I'm better. Moses came. Nobody came after Moses and say, hey, no, forget about Moses, he was wrong. And comes Jesus, the same. Jesus came, and nobody came and said, no, I'm Jesus. Though Jesus' word, J is not in Aramaic, it's called Isa, but just for the heck of it, they gave him a Greek name because they were in control. Then Prophet Muhammad came, all of them, peace be upon them. He said, I'm prophet. He has 1.7 billion people, and nobody claimed, except, I think there's a guy called Musaylama al-Kazzab, lied Musaylama was like a little joke, you know.
شيء آخر يقول لا لقد كذب عليكم وأنا الذي فعلت وأنا الذي سويت.
So as long as nobody come after the prophet, the messenger, and put a case stronger and said he is a liar, then we are fine, we go along. We have miracle, we have everything we were searching for, and there is a lot Sheikh is going to explain to us now. It's not just as simple as that.
مبحوث عنه دلك عنه واحد وبعد أن دلك لم يوجد له معارض. الذين أشركوا بالله شمسا أو أشركوا بالله قمرا نقول له.
So here it is, you are searching, and one comes and guide you to him. All right? Now let us talk about people who say worship, for example, sun or the moon or cow or whatever.
ما منهج الشمس الذي طلبته منكم؟
We'll say you worship the sun. What is the program or the curriculum? What is the system of sun you are worshipping in terms of punishing who doesn't worship, rewarding who worship the sun? What is the sun program? What is its protocol or constitution, or it's a holy book, you know? They will say, no, there is nothing. I just worship the sun. That's it. You are saying that the sun may be created and it doesn't have any system or punishment system or rewarding or anything, like you know, sitting ducks, you know? What the sun made for who worship it? And what it made, the sun made for who disobey to worship it? A God without a curriculum and without recompense for who disobey and who obey. This is not will be called God then. So now we come to conclusion that it is falsehood to call anybody else God other than what the prophet or messenger came from Allah and put the claim, and millions and millions of people follow him. Then let us look from another angle. We are going to look into one like situation where all culture, all nationalities, all language, everything are in agreement, and they are all equal. All the brain, all the culture, all the experience.
نقول له
We tell them,
اللغات التي يتكلم بها الناس
the language which you talk, each one of you.
ما هي اللغة؟
What is the language?
اللغة ألفاظ.
The language is pronunciation. Words come out of your mouth. You know, like if you make sound, doesn't make meaning, will be sound. If it make meaning, will be letters and become words and make sentence. Okay?
يعبر بها كل قوم عن أغراضه.
Every person express with these words, with this sound, for what he meant.
والأغراض ومعانيها متفقة في سائر اللغات.
And the meaning of items, of things, are equal in all languages.
ولكن المختلف فيه الصوت أو اللفظ الذي يدل على المعنى.
It's only the vocabulary sound which will differ, like maybe sun in English, shams in Arabic, matahari maybe in like Indonesian, China, whatever, but it's still sun. Okay?
فالشمس اسمها شمس عندنا، ولكن في لغة أخرى المدلول عليه واحد هو الشمس، ولكن لها اسم.
So all the indication lead for the same but different naming based on these different languages. But we all agree when everyone refer to the sun and give it the name of his mother tongue, we agree this is what he's talking about.
سن مثلا وكذلك في اللغات الأخرى. إذن فلا اختلاف في المعاني.
So there is no difference in the meaning.
وإنما الاختلاف في الألفاظ التي تؤدي هذه المعاني.
It's just different in the vocabulary of different languages.
حين نسأل أهل اللغة نقول لهم أيوجد اللفظ أولا ثم يوجد معناه؟
So let us ask the people of language, which one come first, the item or the name of it? The meaning? Okay, which one come first?
أم أن المعنى يوجد أولا ثم يوضع له اللفظ؟
Is the meaning comes first, then comes the item or the word, like a meaning come in your mind, then you put a word. Okay, you see something, then you give it a name, or you have the name before the thing comes. This is what he's talking. Little critical area.
الكل مجمع على أن المعنى يوجد أولا ثم يوضع له اللفظ.
They said the item will come first, then is given the name. All of them will agree on that.
بدليل
And the
أن
proof
الأمور العدمية لا ألفاظ لها في اللغات.
that the non-existent things, they are not in the language, they are not in the dictionary.
لم نكن نتطلب من أي لغة قبل أن يظهر التلفزيون أن يوضع اسم لذلك التلفزيون.
We never ask any language to give a TV name before the TV comes. So TV has to come first, then we give it a name.
ولكن لما وجد المعنى والمدلول عليه اضطررنا أن نضع له لفظ.
Then the item came with its characteristic, we force it to give it a name.
ده يقول تلفزيون وده يقول تلفاز وده يقول أي.
Then somebody maybe have different description, TV, or maybe the wide screen or whatever, but it's still the same. But again, has to spring into life of existence first before getting the name.
إذن فوضع الألفاظ للمعاني والأسماء للمسميات إنما يتأتى بعد وجود المعاني وبعد وجود المسميات.
Then the meaning or the name has to exist, its item first, then you give it the name.
ولا لا بد من معرفة الوضع. ومعنى معرفة الوضع أن المتكلم بالعربية يعلم أن اللفظ وضع لمعنى كذا.
And also everybody in his language, he must know the meaning of that word in his own mother tongue language. It means has to be very clear what people are speaking with.
فإن لم يفهم وضع اللفظ لمعنى كذا وإن كان عربيا فإنه لا يفهم العربي. لا يفهم.
Then if a person, it is his mother tongue Arabic, but you tell him an Arabic and he doesn't understand, then we have a problem. Means maybe he's not an Arab then.
يفهم حتى عربيا. ومن باب أولى لا يفهم الإنجليزية.
Then he will not understand English if he doesn't understand Arabic.
فإن تعلم أن ذلك اللفظ man تؤدي معنى رجل.
So he has to know man means in Arabic a male. Okay?
يبقى إذا نطقت أمامي بالإنجليزية أعرف مدلولها. فإن لم أعرف مدلولها قبل أن أسمعها فلا أعرف لها معنى.
If he doesn't know its meaning before he heard it, then he knows nothing about it.
كذلك إذا كان لها لفظ عربي لم أعرف مدلوله وإن كنت أتكلم بلسان عربي فاللغة تفقد قيمتها.
Because if I don't know the meaning of it in my language, it means the language is not helpful anymore.
فالمعنى يوجد أولا ثم يوضع له اللفظ ولا بد من معرفة السامع والمتكلم بمدلولات الألفاظ.
And both the one who speak and one hear has to know their dictionaries and vocabularies of their mother tongues.
وإن تكلموا بلسان واحد. مثلا كان هناك شخص لغوي اسمه أبو علقمة.
This is a lovely story. A man called Abu Alqama, he was linguistic, looking for something strange. Okay? And he has a servant, and he asked him, let me say something in English, I make it up myself. What's happening with the tukutaka? The boy said, tukutaka? What is tukutaka? So the boy was smart. He answered, sinkuka. So the man asked him, what is sinkuka? He asked him, tell me first what you meant by what you said. He said, I meant to check if the chickens are screaming or something. He replied, oh, I meant they are not. I mean, like, playing on the that you are not clear, I'm not clear, but what you meant, now I know it. I will tell you what I meant. But both they didn't use really a proper language, okay?
أبو علقمة هذا كان متقعرا في اللغة. متقعر يعني يأتي بالألفاظ الغريبة. فمرة كان عنده خادم والخادم شقي بخطاب سيده طويلا لأنه يأتي بألفاظ ليست في مستوى الخادم.
Okay, what it is in language, there is a science called the strange language dictionary, like say maybe Shakespeare tongue, Victoria tongue, they used to say things, but when we are talking to each other in English, you should be using live words, not old words, but every word we have to go and check, okay? So just clarity has to be very clear, okay?
فاستيقظ أبو علقمة ليلة وقال يا غلام أما هذه فقد فهمها الولد. فقال له أصقعت العتاريف؟ فقال الغلام زقفيلم. قال أبو علقمة وما زقفيلم؟ لأول مرة يستفسر أبو علقمة عن معنى لفظ لغوي. فقال له وأنت ما معنى أصقعت العتاريف؟ قال يا بني لقد أردت أصاحة الديكة. قال وأنا أردت لم تصح. إذن فعدم علم الغلام باللفظ الموضوع له جعله لم يفهم شيئا.
So at the end of the day, the servant, when he didn't understand the vocabulary, he just, shut down, stuck he cannot. Sheikh tried to make a point that we talk with the life force of the language we are talking about, okay?
إذا فلا بد أن نفهم المعنى أولا واللفظ الموضوع له ثانيا.
So we have to see the thing, then we see the name of it, or see the meaning, then we see the word to describe this meaning.
وانظروا إلى ذكاء الغلام حيث جاء بلفظ مخترع من عنده ليس له وجود في اللغة، وما دام لفظ مخترع من عنده أبو علقمة طبعا مش هيعرفه، فلما قال له زقفيلا جاب له كلمة كده كونها، زقفيلا يدور في قواميسه ما يعرفهاش، فاضطر أن يسأل الغلام، فانتهز الغلام الفرصة وقال له وأنت ما معنى أصقعت العتاريف؟ قال أردت أصاحة الديكة، قال الغلام وأنا أردت لم تصل. معنى هذا أن كل اللغات إنما توجد المعاني أولا ثم يوجد الألفاظ، فإن وضع لفظ لمعنى مخترع أو معنى خرافي قيل عند وضعه أنه لشيء خرافي.
So, if we have something like ghost, something doesn't exist, when they name it, they say that this is ghost, you know. But the rule of the thumb, the meaning comes first, then you name the meaning. The name comes first, then you name you give it the name. And in the Quran, by the way, Allah said He taught Adam all the names. So Sheikh is addressing it in a very nice way.
ككلمة الغول معناها إيه؟ شيء خرافي مخيف، هذا هو معناه. يبقى إذا وضع الألفاظ لا بد أن توجد المعاني أولا ثم توجد الألفاظ. لفظ الله الذي يشك فيه الملاحدة متى دخل.
Let us now ask about the word Allah, the name of the Creator in Arabic, Allah, which in Semitic language. By the way, if you take any letter from it, still refer to Him. Allah, you take the first A, become Lillah for Allah. You take the second, take two, it will be Lahu for Allah. Remain H, Ha, mean who, having Dhamma, U, it means Him. So, different from gods, you know. It can be dogs, it can be all kind of things. So really it is very pure, and Sheikh is going to challenge that nobody ever called himself Allah. First of all, when this came into the language, Arabic or any other language, if you say God, for example, does it came later or came early in the game, means he existed, then we give him a name. Do you understand what this is? All his analyzed Sheikh was trying to lead to this one, that Allah existed and the language, he existed first, then language came and gave him a name, which is beautiful analyzed as he explained everything so far.
واللفظ المقابل له في كل اللغات متى دخل لغات الناس.
So Allah in Arabic, when it entered the language, and the equivalent meaning of it, God the Creator and so forth, when did enter the language? It entered, Allah existed first, then it entered, almost like when it sprang into life. You know, look like Jesus spoke when he's child, before he doesn't even know how to speak. He spoke saying, Allah sent me. Inni Abdullah, I am worshipper of Allah. People translated slave and master. This is wrong. Slave and servant, wrong. It is worshipper. Inni Abdullah, I am the worshipper of Allah.
ما دامت الألفاظ لا توجد إلا بعد وجود المعاني.
As long as the names come after the existence of the named, so Allah existed first. God existed first before you call him God.
إذن فلفظ الله لم يوجد إلا بعد أن وجد معناه أولا.
So the pronunciation of Allah existed after the existence of Allah and all his characteristics and attributes. And It's translation, God or doing, Latin or French or whatever.
مش وجد اللفظ ثم اخترع له الايه؟
Not that a word came, then we made for it something. No, we agreed we don't have that, nor there is a dictionary of non-existent things. Like dictionary, you have in it TV before the TV comes. Remember his example?
له المعنى وذلك هو الضرورة اللغوية التي تلح في أن لفظ الله لا بد أن يكون معناه سابق على ذلك اللفظ.
And this is a demanding language principle that Allah existed by language before even the language and before he's given the name. And the good people, when they call upon Allah, they say, you as you were before. You before creating anything. Because in reality, we cannot define who's he. He is an unseen. The closest logically say, you as you were. Okay?
وإلا فمن أين جاء للغة البشر ذلك اللفظ والألفاظ لا تأتي أبدا إلا بعد وجود معانيها.
Otherwise, how come this name came? And we know by now the name, the things existed before its name. Where this Allah came from then? Into this language or God or the Creator.
ومن أيسر دليل ترد به على هؤلاء جميعا. بعد ذلك نبحث عن شيء آخر. الفلاسفة ومدارسهم المختلفة من أول مدارس اليونان حينما بحثوا بعقولهم
And let us now discuss something else. Let us go as far as thousands of years in the time of the Greek philosophy and Latin, when they start searching using all their intelligentsia,
رأوا أن عقولهم لها سيادة وتستطيع أن تلج حتى الغيب.
They felt they are extremely intelligent and their brains are capable and maybe try also to tackle the unseen, because they spoke in two categories: the physique, like mathematics, blah blah blah, astronomy, and the metaphysic. Okay?
عندهم فلسفتين.
They have two philosophy.
الفلسفة الأولى الفلسفة المادية.
The material philosophy means the physical, like chemistry, all this sciences, okay?
التي تبحث في المادة والتجربة عليها. العلوم التجريبية.
Like they take the material and apply it to experiment, testing, and trying to come up with factual description and conclusion and so forth.
وشيء آخر يسموه الميتافيزيقا.
And they have the metaphysics beyond the physique, which beyond will be considered the unseen, the untouchable, the untested, the unsmelled.
يعني شيء وراء المادة. وأجهدوا نفوسهم في ذلك
And they work very hard in metaphysics.
من الفلسفة. أي شيء وراء المحسات.
Or beyond the senses.
وبحثوا فيه بمدارسهم المختلفة.
And all searching it.
فما الذي قال لهم إن وراء المادة شيء يجب أن يفهم؟
So what told them that beyond 5 senses there are things they should be searching for it? By the way, Socrates, I think he told Aristotle or somebody else that dealing with metaphysics, with theology, with divinity, is like crossing the ocean on a log of wood. Of course, you'll drown. And they were praying if God can send them somebody like a messenger or prophet to tell them about the metaphysics, because he just gave up after hard work.
ما دام الأمر متعلق بالأمور المادية بس، من أين عرفوا أن وراء المادة شيء يجب أن يبحث عنه.
So, since they were focusing a lot on materialistic philosophy, what told them beyond that there is something they should be searching for, and they start searching, but they reach nowhere.
إذن فالدليل لنا لا أنهم وصلوا، ولكن لأنهم أجهدوا عقولهم في أن يبحثوا وراء المادة ما هو.
So our proof that they didn't reach, but their attempt to try to reach, this is our point of like point in the state, okay?
إذن فهم مقتنعون وجدانيا وفطريا أن المادة لا يمكن أن تكون وحدها.
So therefore they are convinced in their hearts and their mind and their souls, in their own spirit, that the material cannot be alone.
ولا بد من وجود شيء خلف هذه المادة.
And something has to be beyond this material.
الذي يحرك هذه المادة سواء عرفوا ووصلوا أم لم يعرفوا.
Regardless if they reach or not, of course they didn't reach.
ولم يصل. وبعد ذلك نجد الفلسفة المادية انفصلت عن الميتافيزيقا.
After that, the material philosophy separated from the metaphysics, or like the spirituality.
ماذا انفصلت؟ لأن الفلسفة المادية أدت ثمارها للكون.
Because the material philosophy gave us fruit to the humanity and civilization, while the other one gave us nothing.
وأعطت العالم وسائل حضارية.
It gives civilization, give everything, this material one, the other one didn't.
وارتقت حيوات الناس ورفعت، والفلسفة الميتافيزيقية لم تعطي العالم شيئا أبدا.
And the metaphysics, they give the universe nothing. As a matter of fact, we have to have a stop here. I say that the Greek philosophy, both kind, metaphysics, all were lost and was saved by Muslim and Middle Ages in Spain. Muslim philosopher then came Imam Ghazali, who destroyed their shortcoming in the metaphysics, because they cover divinity, ethics, and spiritual law. And he proved Islam is right based on the Quran and Hadith. We're talking about, he has 6,236 verses, he has 8,266 prophetic saying, and he destroyed them with a book. After that, it was over, the philosophy. And the churches went to his book to use it to defend, because some people came up with some metaphysics, tried to destroy Christianity. So this is something worth noting, and you can go to ghazali.org, and in our site also we have a lot of his work, like Roadmap of Spirituality, Avoiding Error in Spirituality, his paths from doubt to reality. He's called the Proof of Islam. He's a 500-pound gorilla. And also Razi, as a matter of fact, the member of parliament in Dutchland, he was against Islam and went to write a book against Islam. He read Razi, he embraced Islam. And he's doing now virtual reality teaching schools there about Islam. Public school. Let us go back to Sheikh in his wonderful presentation.
وظلت في متاهاتها إلى تلك الساعة.
And this metaphysics is still at loss up to now.
لماذا؟ لأنهم تعدوا حدود تعقلهم.
Why they lost? Because they went beyond the ability of their brain comprehension.
المطلوب في القوة التي وراء الكون أن تتعقلها لا أن تتصورها.
Because the power beyond the physique, the power of Allah, you should understand it, not imagine it. Now Sheikh is going to talk about understanding and imagination. It's very powerful, important point. Please pay attention.
وفرق بين تعقل الشيء وتصوره.
Big difference between that you comprehend something and that you imagine something. You understand versus imagination. التصور والتعقل.
كيف؟ نحن هنا في حجرة مغلقة.
Like here, we are in a closed room. A person come knock on the door, we hear the bell, alarm. All of us in agreement understand there is somebody knocking. There is no imagination. It's just all of us agree, yes, somebody knocking on the door.
ثم دق الجرس. كلنا يتعقل وجود طارق بالباب.
All of us understand, comprehend that somebody knocking on the door.
ونحن متفقون في ذلك جميعا. ذلك هو
Full agreement, consensus, no differences.
التعقل. فإذا دخلنا منطقة التصور
Then if we get out from a stage of comprehension, understanding, okay, to the imagination. In another way, from the Boolean greater than, mathematic, like, brain logic, greater than, equal, less than. This is like the logic of understanding, okay? If we go to the imagination, become little folklore and culture and spiritual, then everybody free to imagine what he wants.
دخلنا في متاهة.
Then we get
فمن
lost.
قائل أنه شيخ كبير.
So one will say, I think he's an old man. Another one, he said, no, I think the one who's knocking is a young man. The other one is fat, thin, I think his man is a woman, and we will never have an agreement because we get into the imagination. So the Sheikh wants to say that we should realize that there is a creator, but we cannot imagine him like us, okay, or give him our attributes or our, this is the reason, this idea about created Adam on his image. This is not wrong. It is wrong in language. It means his here, Adam own image. Allah created him according what he planned, not Allah image. And now we will hear the Sheikh.
من قائل انه فتى ومن قائل انه صغير ومن قائل انه رجل ومن قائل انه امراه ومن قائل انه طويل ومن قائل انه قصير ومن قائل انه جاء بشير ومن قائل انه جاء نذير لاننا دخلنا في متاهات التصور.
So in the imagination, everybody keep going. You say it's coming to knock, warning us. Once they coming maybe with good news, it will never finish. And this is what they call also assumption. Remember, which is not acceptable like in technology or business management. A person should not assume. They call it even make ass of yourself if you assume.
ولو وقفنا عند منطقة التعقل فقط أن طارقا بالباب لتركنا للطارق أن يعبر عن نفسه.
If we stopped to the limit of understanding, comprehension, then we'll give a chance to the one who knock to describe himself instead of our own assumption and imagination, blocking really the true knowledge to come through. Okay?
من أنت؟ فيقول أنا فلان.
He knock, we say, who are you? He say, I'm so and so. It is over.
إذا فالتصورات لا تأتي من المتصور.
Then the imagination should not come from the one who imagine. It should come from the one who's subject of imagination. Therefore, our imagination is wrong. Let him do the correct us with his statement, and this become the accurate kind of imagination, if this is a good way to say it.
وإنما تأتي من الشيء المتصور.
So in another way, the description of the third party should come from the third party. You realize that the third party knocking, but you should not describe it, and you cannot see it because it's beyond your two eyes.
مطلوبي كذا وكذا وكذا فكان من الواجب أن يكتفي العقل بتعقل قوة وراء تلك المادة المحسوسة.
So the brain should respect itself, realize, after he realize, stand up to his limit, not to cross into wandering land. Then he can focus on moving on and maybe allow his heart to start opening for the light and for things which is not bullion maybe.
هذه القوة لها عمل في تلك المادة المحسوسة، ثم يترك العقل الزمام للقوة نفسها.
So the brain should then leave the lead to that greater power to take over after he did the first job of reasoning to understand.
لتحدث عن اسمها.
So that power will describe its name, its attributes, its action, what it needs, its protocol, and so forth.
اسمي كذا وعن مرادها وعما تعده لمن يسير.
And to describe the reward and the punishment and so forth.
قطاعتها وعما تعده لمن يسير على نظام معصيتها. فالفلاسفة إذن لم يضلوا في التعقل.
So the philosopher, they did not went wrong. They didn't go wrong in understanding and comprehension, but they got lost when they start to imagine. Of course, you hear about the God, many goddess, and for everything there is a God, and you can tell they went banana, you know. So, and later when you go, some of it have impacted India. We have the cows, we ship the cows and so forth. And if a train coming and there's cow on that track, it has to stop till the cow voluntarily cross. And if the Muslim slaughter the cow, then they killing our gods, so we start killing them.
وإنما ضلوا في منطقة التصور. لماذا؟
So the Sheikh warning us for, you should control yourself. Don't let imagination take over and you get into an error and contamination without even, you know, because you mix your opinion and you become having ego. Oh, I said there is no this and that. Why don't you wait and find out if there is or not?
إنك حين تريد تصور شيء لا تتصوره إلا على وفق المحسوس لك.
Because when you imagine something, you imagine only what you feel physically.
ومحال أن تتصور الله على وفق المحسوس لك.
And it is impossible that you imagine Allah with what you feel or what in your, instead of beyond physique, let's say in front of the physique. Your physique seeing, sighting cannot be used to imagine Allah. Use it as a mirror to reflect who's Allah.
لأنه ما دام خلف الجميع وما دام فوق الجميع وما دام وراء الجميع.
If he is above everything, he created everything, is far from everything.
وأنه خلق الجميع فلا بد أن يكون متميزا عن الجميع.
So he is existing apart from all.
وأنت لا تستطيع أن تتصور إلا على ضوء ما عرفت الناس. ولذلك الذين
And you only will imagine according to what you know.
الله عادوا يصوروه برضه زي شكل الإنسان وله كذا وله كذا ويجلس ويخطو ويتصارع مع يعقوب. لماذا؟
So this is the reason they start describing him with human characteristic, that he's fighting Jacob and doing this and doing that, which is kind of crazy.
أنهم لا يعرفون في تصورهم موجودا إلا ذلك الإنسان.
Because they don't know anything exists except human, so they just made human man, make God man and man God. Okay, they say son of man becomes son of God, God has son, and they just mix it up and put him part of the family.
الذي أتعب الفلاسفة ليس منطقة التعقل بوجود قوة ولكنها منطقة التصور.
So what hurt them is the area of imagination, not understanding and comprehending.
هي المتاهة. إذن فالعقل بفطرته أولا وببحثه الاستقصائي في مادة الوجود ثانيا.
So the brain, by its own ability to think and search in the existence,
وبما ينقل إليه ثالثا،
and what it gets related to the brain,
يتين إلى أن يؤمن بوجود قوة سميت القوة باسم، هذا الاسم لا بد أن يكون له قبل الإطلاق معنى.
So he has then to admit that there is a power, and that power has a name, and the name existed before even the name is given in our human languages.
موجود في النفوس، وإلا لو لم يكن له معنى موجود في النفوس لكان شيئا خرافيا
Because if he was not in our existence, in our souls, he created it, then it will be like imagination. A meaning of imagination doesn't exist.
على أنه شيء خرافي.
It will be like fairy tales, you know.
الذين يناقشون المسألة من الناحية الإلحادية نقول لهم
Those who discussing it, approaching it from disbelief point of view,
أنتم تنظمون حياتكم بعقولكم.
You manage your affairs with your own brain.
وترون وضع نظام للإنسان في الحياة أمر ضروري.
And putting a system, a roadmap for human is very, very important.
ووضع أي نظام ضروري لحياة الإنسان أنتم اضطريتوا إليه حتى يا ملاحدة.
And you, even who don't believe in God, you force it to do social agreement, to do your own law, protocol, and so forth.
بأن تصنعوا قوانين وتجرمون أفعالا وتعاقبون.
And you decide to allow things to happen and things to be criminal if it happen, and you punish accordingly.
على هذه الجرائم. فالكون الذي تعيشون فيه أخلى من الجرائم التي يؤمن الجميع بجرميتها؟ لم يخلو. لكن هل يستطيع إنسان أن يقول أنه يستطيع أن يعرف كل جريمة وقعت؟
And then I ask you, can you tell, every crime happened? Like most of the criminal, the smart one, they hide their crimes.
وخاصة إذا كان صاحب الجريمة ذا حيلة يستطيع أن يستتر بها ويفعل ولا تدخل يد القانون فيه. نقول لهم وهؤلاء هم الذين يحدث منهم الفساد، لا الذين تقع أعين القانون عليهم. أشد الناس فتكا بالمجتمعات هم المحتالون الذين يستطيعون أن يصنعوا الجرائم.
So the most harmful in society, the scammers, who know how to trick, those of tricks, and they harm most of the societies.
مع ذلك لا تقع يد القانون عليهم.
And the law never touched them.
فنقول لهم إذا كنتم أنتم قد فعلتم بمن وقعت عينكم عليه عقوبات، فالذين لم تقع عينكم عليه وهم أكثر إفسادا في الكون ممن وقعت عليه عيونكم أيتركون هكذا؟ ليست عدالة لا صدفة.
So most of the people who committed the wrongdoing, they are far greater than the ones you caught. Is it justice that these people, they let go after they did all this mischief?
وليست عدالة طبيعة، فكان من الواجب أن تتطلبوا أنتم وجود قوة تعلمها.
You should then find a more powerful power, greater than you, can round all this usual suspect and let justice to be served.
الخفيات حتى تصون إذا كنتم أنتم صنتم مجتمعا لم تخلقوه.
If this is a society you never even created, How about the one who created it?
تسألوا عنه ولم يدع لكم فيه ألوهية ولا ربوبية.
And you are doing this and nobody called you God or anything.
وأردتم صيانته وما
And you try to adjust and balance, have peace in society, and you failed.
أثرنا هذه النظرة فالذين لا تقع عيونكم عليهم إلى من يوكل أمرهم إذا يكون عالم مختلف ويكون.
Then the universe will not be balanced and justice is not served.
الذي يجرم الجرائم أشد انتفاعا ممن لم يجرم.
Then the criminal will get more benefit from the one who didn't commit a crime.
لأن الذي أجرم أعطى نفسه كل شهوات حياته.
Because he did everything as he wants.
والذي لم يجرم صنع نفسه في قالب افعل كذا ولا تفعل كذا.
And not guilty, he just locked himself into few behavior, do this, don't do that.
وبعد ذلك يكون الخير مع هؤلاء والشر من هؤلاء.
Then the fear, the evil come from these and the good come from these.
منطق العقل أن يترك الأشرار بدون أن يحاسبوا.
Is it fair, according to the logic of your brain, the harm doer, they should be left without punishment?
وأن يضيق على الأخيار وأين يفقدون الحياة يكونوا قد خسروا كل شيء فقد ألزموا نفسهم بمناهج ضيقت حيوات.
And the good ones, when they lose life, they already have very hard time, then they end losing their life too.
وضيقت شهواتهم وغلبهم عليهم من انفلتوا وأخذوا شهواتهم. إذا كان هؤلاء الذين يلحدون في الله نقول لهم تعالوا إذا لننظر فيما نقول إنه صدر من عند الله وفيما صدر من عندكم أيها الملاحدة.
So you who disbelieve, let us now come and compare what we say Allah said and what you are saying yourself, and let us compare, see which profile is better.
فلننظر إلى أي تقنين قننتموه لهذه الحياة.
Look to any law you put it in order in this life. What was the outcome of it? Remember when you forbid wine in America? Remember? Many law, it never worked.
فسنجد تقنينات اضطر إلى تعتيلها ألف مرة.
You found ways, you put law and keep changing it like thousands of times. In Islam, the Quran came say, no fornication, go and get married. Look at Muslim getting married and growing very good. Look at Paris, you have 2 million like dogs and cats using them for sex and nobody and everybody dating. But there is no families and they are complaining now we don't have children and let us import some youth from abroad. Where also the wine, you tried to stop wine, you couldn't. In Islam, Allah forbid wine. All people in Mecca and Medina throw it in the streets. And that's it. There is no doubt the Muslims drink so little wine compared with the non-Muslim. They even put in the church and everything. So this is a law and this is a law. Okay, so compare this law so you can see the law of Allah is working with billions of Muslims.
بينما نجد التقنين الذي نقول نحن أنه جاء من عند الله تقنين يصل قمة التميز.
And the law of Allah, He found it the most highest in speciality and characteristic, and you keep changing your law, getting closer and closer to it. Like the French Revolution, secular, when it came, they start borrowing laws from school of Imam Malik in North Africa, how all the girl can get married and this and that.
وكل تعديل في تقنيناتكم يقربكم منه.
So the more you change it to the better, it will come closer to the perfect law of Allah.
وما دام كل تقنين في تقنيناتكم يقربكم من القانون الذي أنا أقول أنني تلقيته من إله فكان من الواجب أن تعتقدوا أن القوة التي أمدتني بهذا القانون فوقكم.
And as you see that the law come from Allah with me is better than the laws you tried hard to make, you admit it is good, then you should admit also the power gave me that law. It is respectable and acceptable, so you believe in it.
وأنني حين أقول أنني أخذته عن الله أكون إنسان صادق وإنسان.
And when I say I brought it from Allah, then I'm truthful person.
أمين. وإلا كان من الممكن أن أدعي شيئا لنفسي.
And it is, I'm honest and, clear about it. Otherwise, I can say it is my law and, don't mention Allah at all. Because everybody like to be proud and gain the respect of his own doing.
ولذلك حينما كان الرسول يأتي بعجيب معجز يقول من عندك أنت جايب من عندك.
And this is the reason people used to tell the prophets, you brought this from you. Okay?
أرأيتم إنسانا.
Have you ever seen somebody have something to be proud of, refer it to somebody else? Like if I have this Quran, I say, oh, this is mine, people say, oh, it's wonderful, then I look good. But because I'm truthful, I said, this Quran, I got it from the Sheikh. And the Sheikh say, I got it from the Prophet. So this means I'm sincere, the Sheikh is sincere, the Prophet himself say, I don't read and write, I got it from Allah via Gabriel. So it means these people are not taking this, stealing this and saying it's ours. So this means they are truthful because they are not taking it and claiming it for themselves, as everybody on earth try to claim everything for himself.
يصنع كمالا ثم يجعله لغيره. الناس في بشريتهم يأخذون كمالات الناس لينسبوها إلى نفوسهم.
Most people take the perfection of others and attribute it to themselves.
فيقول قل لو شاء الله ما تلوته عليكم.
The Prophet say, if Allah didn't will, I will never recite it for you, nor you will know it.
أدراكم به فقد لبثت فيكم عمرا.
I stayed with you long time, because the Prophet 40 years, he is called the honest person and he never read and write, and suddenly came with that.
من قبله أفلا تعقلون.
Don't you have brain? I stayed with you long time and suddenly this came,
يقولوا ده من عندك يقول لهم والله من عندك.
So they say, oh, this is from you. How come?
أنا بشر ولا أستطيع أن
I'm human being, I cannot do that.
هذا الكلام. أرأيتم عبقريا يأتي بتقنين ثم بعد ذلك يعزوه لغيره.
Have you seen any genius guy come up with something, then he refer it to somebody else?
يسرق قوانين الناس ليقول إنها من وضعه. إذا فمجيء الرسل كان أمرا ضروريا للبشر.
So the bringing messenger from Allah is necessity for human being.
ليحل لهم اللغز.
To solve their problems and their puzzles.
ولم يجئوا ليعرفونا وجود الله وإنما جاءوا ليعرفونا مطلوب الله.
Not to let you know who's Allah, but to let you know what Allah wants of us.
حينما يسأل أبو بكر أو تختلف الرواية فيقال سئل علي.
One day, Abu Bakr is the first caliph, Ali is the fourth caliph. He said one of them was asked, did you know Allah by Muhammad, or did you know Muhammad by Allah?
فيقول له قائل أعرفت ربك بمحمد أم عرفت محمدا بربك؟ فيجيب جوابا إذا سمعته تعجبت كيف نظم عقد هذا الجواب. فيقول
He answered an amazing understanding.
لو عرفت ربي بمحمد، يعني أنا آمنت بربي لأن محمد قال لي، لكان محمد أوثق عندي من ربي.
If I know Allah by Muhammad, it means Muhammad is more trusted with me than my Lord.
ولو عرفت محمدا بربي ما احتجت إلى رسول.
And if I know Muhammad via my Lord, then I don't need Muhammad.
كأن الله جاء في أذني وقال أرسلت لك رسول اسمه.
As if Allah came to me and tell me, oh, I sent you a messenger, by the way.
محمد أنا عرفت ربي بربي.
I came to know my Lord by my Lord.
وجاء محمد فبلغني مراد ربي منه.
And Muhammad came and told me what my Lord wants from me.
لأن مرادات القوى الخفية لا يمكن أن تكون أمرا يصل إليه العقل.
Because hidden powers in spirituality, impossible that the brain, its Boolean mathematics can solve its puzzle.
واسمه الحق لا يمكن أن يصل إليه العقل.
His name is the truth, Al-Haq, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, one of his name. Or in life, the truth itself.
بعد ذلك تأتي الأديان التي ترد على ذلك الإلحاد وعلى رأسها الإسلام الدين الخاتم ليعطي تحديا للدنيا بما فيها.
Then Islam comes, challenge all humanity and answer everything coming from Allah and His holy book and the saying of Prophet Muhammad.
الملحد الذي ينكر الإله لا شك أنه يصادم مطلوب الإله.
The unbeliever who reject Allah, there is no doubt he having problem with the demand of Allah.
ويحاول جاهدا أن يكذب ذلك الإله.
And he tried to accuse others with lies.
ويحاول جاهدا أن يخرج عن مطلوب ذلك الإله.
And he tried to get out of the obligation coming from the Lord.
له نقول له نعم ولكن الله حينما قال إنني اخترت لنفسي اسمه الله.
But when Allah comes and say, I chose for myself a name, Allah,
سميت به نفسي.
I call myself,
وأنا أتحدى البشر بما
and I challenge all humanity that one of them call himself Allah.
فيهم من كافرين وملحدين
Unbeliever, you name it.
أن يأخذوا هذا الاسم ليطلقوه على شيء
And take this name and use it anywhere.
من ذواته. مع أن وضع الاسم للمسمى أمر مألوف عندنا.
Though naming anything for us something normal, you know.
كل يوم نضع أسماء لمسميات.
Every day you put names for things.
فما الذي يمنع الملاحدة؟
What make the unbeliever not use the name Allah?
من أن يكذبوا الله في ذلك التحدي.
That they belie Allah in this challenge, because Allah said in Quran about Himself, Allah, do you know anybody else named Allah?
ويقول أهل الإسلام يتحدى بأن أحدا لا يمكن أن يسمي نفسه الله سأسمي نفس الله.
And Islam challenge anyone to go ahead and call himself Allah.
يتحدى الإسلام ذلك ويقول هل تعلم له سمية؟
هل تعلم له سمية? Do you know anyone else called Allah? Challenge.
في الدنيا كلها من هو سمي الله؟
Did you see in all life somebody called himself Allah?
سمعوا ذلك التحدي ومع ذلك ما اجترأ واحد منهم أن يسمي نفسه أو شيئا من أتباعه الله. لماذا؟ لو كانوا على ثقة وعلى يقين بأن الله لا وجود له لتحدوا.
If they realize deep in their souls that Allah doesn't exist, it will be easy for them to go ahead and use the name. But they know He's in their souls exist, and they're just playing games.
ولكن هذه لم يجرؤوا أن يجعلوا نفسهم موضع التجربة.
Because they don't want to make themselves subject to the experiment.
كانوا على يقين من عدم الوجود لتحدوا الله وسموا.
If they were certain Allah doesn't exist, they will challenge and use the name.
أنفسهم أو ما يملكون أو ما يعرفون باسم الحق سبحانه وتعالى. إذن فمن الممكن جدا أن نقنع الطرفين. الطرف الأول
Therefore, we can very easy convince the two categories we started our talk with, the believer who get maybe some contamination or somebody through doubt, or the people who don't believe in God at all. We can convince very easily both of them with the guidance, the prophethood of Prophet Muhammad guiding to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on a straight path.
والطرف الثاني، وفي إقناع الطرف الأول ما يغنينا عن إقناع الطرف الثاني.
And when we convince one, no need to go convince the other because we use enough logic knockout to let both settle.
سؤال آخر.
So now is the second question.
تفضل.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. نشكر فضيلة الشيخ على هذا البيان الموفق.
We thank our honorable Sheikh for this beautiful presentation of clarity.
ونرجو من فضيلته أن يبين لنا رأي الإسلام في من يخلط بين مظاهر قوى الطبيعة والذات الإلهية ومن يزل فيؤله البشر.
We like Sheikh to explain to us the people who mix the attributes and characteristics of divinity of Allah and the human attributes.
وما هو الطريق إلى تبيين الذات الإلهية؟
Describing the divinity.
الطريق إلى تبيين الذات الإلهية ليس من وضع البشر.
The duty of making the divinity clear is not the job of human being.
لأن الذات الإلهية هي التي تعطي الفكرة عن نفسها.
Because divinity is who present its own characteristic and attributes.
إذا كان مجرد الاسم ليس للبشر أن يضعوه للذات.
If the name itself, we couldn't ourselves name him the way we want. How about his attributes and his actions?
بل الاسم أيضا توقيفي.
And this is called tawqifi, means depending on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
حتى لو قال الله في كتابه أنه يفعل فعلا من الأفعال.
If Allah said he's a doer of something, we cannot convert this verb into name.
فلا يباح لي أن أشتق من ذلك الفعل اسما له.
I cannot derive from a verb in the Quran a name for Allah. His names has to come from him. Like Allah said in Quran, وَلِلَّهِ الْأَسْمَاءُ الْحُسْنَى فَادْعُوهُ بِهَا. There are 99 names in Quran. I cannot add any other names. There are a few additional names came from the Prophet. This is a lock up situation. I cannot add anything. I just use this name as they are.
فمثلا يقول ويمكرون ويمكر الله. إذا قال ويمكر الله، أيصح أن أقول الله ماكر؟ مع أن الحدث نسبه هو لنفسه. يخادعون الله وهو خادعهم.
Allah said they cheat Allah and he's cheating them. Can we say Allah is cheater? We can't. We cannot use the verb to make a noun. Okay? Of course, Allah is not a cheater. Allah faces them of their cheating by annulling it and so forth, but he described it in a way which kind of eloquent.
أيصح أن أقول الله مخادع؟ فإذا كان لا يباح لي أن أطلق على الله لفظا، أطلق الله فعل ذلك اللفظ لذاته.
If it is not allowed for me to derive or coin from a verb a noun for Allah, thereby is not for me to describe the divinity with our human attributes.
يبقى من باب أولى أن لا أتدخل في أصل الذات لأنني منعت من اسم الذات.
So I am not allowed to go talk about the divinity, its own being, because I'm even forbidden to give it the name. How about its own kind of internal, description of attributes and actions and characteristic.
فإذا كنت منعت من اسم الذات ولا رأي لي فيه يبقى ذات الذات يجب أن لا يكون لي.
So if the divinity name, I'm forbidden to give it a name, it didn't come from it. So the divinity of divinity is not for me to articulate anything. By the way, Islamic creed extremely superior to Christianity, because the original book of Jesus was lost. The Bible written by anonymous 6 years after, and things like Trinity added on, people keep adding, and copying is like a big thing. Ahmad did a great job saving a lot of Christian. Let's go back to Sheikh.
رأي فيها أبدا. فالذات هي التي تعلن عن نفسها اسما ومسمى وصفة.
So the divinity is the one to give its own name, tell us about its name and its attributes and actions.
يكفي أن توجد في إطار ليس كمثله شيء.
And you have to have the rule of the thumb that nothing is like him. This is a verse. Allah said, nothing is like him.
لماذا ليس كمثله شيء؟
Why nothing like him?
أنه ما دام الحق قد أخذ وضع الألوهية ووضع الربوبية والكل مربوب له فيجب أن يكون متميزا عن هذه.
If he is the truth, the Lord, the Creator, and he's above all what he created, so his characteristic has to be different from what he created.
لأنه لو كان في خلقه مثل له لأحطنا بالله.
Because if there is some in creation like Allah, then we have association and idols business.
الإحاطة بالله قدرة للعقل عليه.
And it means that person will surround Allah, who's in reality surround all of us, kind of overpower him.
أنا إذا أتيت بتمرين هندسة وطرحته على طلاب فالذي يقبل على حله.
Then he give example now. If I give exam belongs to university, to like prep school, and 2 students, one start doing the test, try to solve that question, spend all day in it, and fail. But another one, when he look at it, he say, I cannot do that. Which one better? The one he respected his brain and his ability. He knows he is not in the level of university and he cannot tackle this one. He's more respected than the other one, tried to play brave and he went nowhere. So I think this is the difference between, again, getting closer to imagination and comprehension and understanding the difference between the created and the creator.
يقال قدر عقله وفكره على التمرين. فلو أنني استطعت أن أتصور الله على وفق شيء متصور في البشر أكون قد قدرت على الله.
So it means if I can describe Allah with a description in human, then I'm capable over Allah now. I'm the one defining him.
ويصبح الله مقدورا عليه.
Then Allah become the target, the object of my work. So I am now the able and he is like not able.
والقادر لا ينقلب مقدورا عليه.
The all capable cannot turn the reverse, become the one subject to the ability of others.
أبدا. ومن عظمته أنه لا يدرك.
And from his greatness you cannot reach him with your imagination, nor your intelligentsia, nor anything, nor your sight. Allah said, لا تدركه الأبصار. Sights never reach him.
إذا كان بعض المعاني عند الناس، المعاني التي يجندون لها حيواتهم ويضحون من أجلها بكل شيء، كلمة الحق مثلا، الحق معنى لا شكل له ولا صورة ولا هيئة.
Even if you go to people who dedicate all their life for one speciality, okay, say the word the truth, for example. The truth has no touch, cannot touch it, he cannot see it, it has no image, okay?
ومع ذلك نجد للحق كمعنى أنصاف. المادة كلها عقولا وطاقات في خدمة ذلك الحق.
Well, everything in servitude to the truth.
والحق معنى من المعاني.
And the truth is just a meaning.
فإذا كان بعض المعاني التي لا صورة لها ولا شكل لها تحكم قوى الناس.
If that the truth which has no image, no touch, nothing, is just meaning, controlling a lot of humanity, like the truth in the judgment, the court, and everything, people going after the truth. If this is as such, you cannot touch it, you cannot imagine what it is in a way. How about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala?
وتحكم كل تصرفاتهم.
That the truth control all their behavior.
كيف بمن خلق ذلك الحق؟
How about the one who created this truth?
الذي خلق ذلك الحق أولى بأن يعجز الإنسان عن تصوره.
So it is, you are ought to not to imagine the creator of al-haq. He is the absolute haq, the absolute truth. If you cannot imagine what you cannot see, you cannot touch, and the truth, how about the one who created it?
العدالة مثلا معنى من المعاني.
The same said for justice. Is a meaning. You cannot see it, cannot touch it. It is a meaning.
الفكر يجهد نفسه ليطبقها.
The brain works so hard try to implement it. You have debate in the Supreme Court, justice, and different opinion and consent and dissent. Okay?
والطاقة تجند نفسها لتحميها. فما هي؟
And the energy and the ability try to protect the justice.
هذه العدالة إنها معنى.
It is a meaning.
لا يتصور له شكل.
Nobody can imagine an image for it.
ولا يتصور له لون.
And nobody can describe it with color or taste.
ولا تتصور له هيئة.
And no image for it.
فإذا كان ذلك من الأشياء المخلوقة.
If this is from what we know, how come you want to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala?
أفيكون الخالق يقدر عليه العقل مع أن مخلوقا.
If the brain couldn't work out with something created like truth and justice, now how come you can define Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the creator?
من مخلوقاته لم يقدر عليه العقل.
While your brain cannot work out things he created. You want to go after the creator? Come on, give me a break.
حين ننظر نظرة أخرى نقول أنت أيها الإنسان الدليل لم يتركه الله في الكون حولك فقط وإن.
We approach it from another direction. The proof, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not leave it in the universe for you.
كما جعل الله الدليل في ذاتك حتى لا يكلفك رحلة طويلة.
He made the proof inside you.
من ذاتك إلى الكون حولك.
So you don't waste time even bother going around in the universe looking for the truth.
فنقول له إنك حين تموت تقول خرجت روح.
When you die, one die, they say his soul, spirit gone out.
إذن فالروح كانت تدير جسمك.
It means the soul or the spirit used to manage your body, then your body dead, it's become like turn into nothing or garbage or smelly stuff.
أي تدير حركة هذه الآلة، فحين خرجت الروح صارت الآلة رمة.
So you were like a machine. When the spirit gone out, it turned to be like filth.
حين صارت رمة لم يعد لها حركة ولا حياة.
Then has no movement, life, nothing.
نقول له الروح التي كانت تدير هذا الجسم.
This will ask you, the spirit which used to manage this body,
وتعطيه هذه الحياة.
giving it this life.
أرأيتها بعينك؟
Did you see it with your own eyes?
يقول لا.
You say no.
أشممتها بأنفك؟
Did you sniff it?
لا.
No.
أسمعتها بأذنك؟
Did you hear it with your ear? No.
يقول لا. أذقتها بلسانك؟
Did you taste it with your tongue? No.
يقول ألمستها بيدك؟
Did you touch it with your hand?
ومع ذلك كانت تدير جسمك. شيء في ذاتك.
Something inside you, you cannot comprehend it.
ومع ذلك لم تستطع أن تدركه ولا أن تتصوره.
You couldn't even imagine nor comprehend. You know almost like nothing about it.
فكيف يتخطى عقلك؟
How come your brain went to cross over and go for the creator of the soul and try to describe it?
يريد تصور.
Articulate him by your imagination.
من خلق شيئا لم تستطع تصوره.
Who created something you are not capable of imagining it.
إذن فالتصور كله عن الله لا بد أن يوجد عن الله نفسه.
So anything to describe Allah as imagination or comprehension has to come from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself only.
يقول صفات كيت وكيت 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 على العين والرأس. وبعد ذلك إذا وصف نفسه بشيء يوجد في كونه.
Then if Allah decided to describe himself with something in his own universe,
نعطيه فيه ما يناسب ذاته. الله.
then we have to understand it the way suits him.
موجود وأنت موجود.
Allah exists and you are existing.
أوجودك من عين وجود الله؟
Is your existence like Allah existent? Of course not.
لا.
No.
الله غني وأنت قد توصف بالغنى.
Allah is rich and maybe you can be considered called rich. Is your richness like the richness of Allah?
ذاك من غنى الله. الله حي وأنت الآن حي.
You are alive and Allah alive. Is your life like the life of Allah?
حياتك من حياة الله. إذن فإذا قيل الله له يد.
So if we say Allah has hand,
لماذا تريد أن تجعل يد الله هذه كيدك؟
why do you want to make the hand of Allah like your limited hand?
له يد تناسبه.
He has a hand suitable to him if he said so. If he said hand, then he has a hand suitable to him. I cannot imagine it. I cannot describe it because almost like different dictionary. Divine dictionary versus mine, it happened to be the sound the same. Okay, but I have to negate. He has a hand suitable to him, but not like my hand because nothing like him.
هي مظهر القدرة والحركة فيه.
So his hand is a root of the power, overwhelming power.
ولم يكلفك الله متاهة أن تعرف إيده دي شكلها إيه.
And Allah never gave you obligation to understand the characteristic of his hand.
لأنه لو أراد ذلك لبينها لنا.
Because if he wanted that, he will make it clear.
وأيضا فإنك إذا ما نظرت إلى أن الألفاظ وضعت لتؤدي المعاني المعروفة فمعنى ذلك أن الشيء الذي لا يوجد له نظير في حياتك لا يوجد له لفظ في لغتك.
And because naming is made for something exists in our life, so if something in our life doesn't exist, like I cannot see the hand of Allah here, then that hand, the name of it, is not applicable to my hand or to our existence. It is applicable to him, and he didn't explain it, so that's it. Tough luck, you just leave it alone.
ما يوجدش له لفظ. فإن أحب الحق أن يبين لي قدرته وتمكنه من كونه فيقول يد الله فوق أيديهم.
So when Allah want to make it very clear to us, and he is incapable, he say Allah hands over their hand. So it is not the hand shaking, it is the overwhelming power, representing his overwhelming power. And he's giving that little scenario, like when you have a human being powerful like king put his hand over 3-4 people, it means the king giving them the support and. So we take from the word yad the capability and the absolute power. That's all. But we don't negate the hand, but we have to say it is his, and this hand is not like our hand. So it is over, okay? And the rule of thumb, the verse ليس كمثله شيء, nothing like him. And so his life is different from ours, and so on. And also when he say he willed to the throne, he took over the throne. He's Alif Sin Wow, you know? Yeah, to the throne, a verb over the throne, okay? It will be like sitting or gone up to the throne, like a king having his own throne, okay? He sat, you sat, is completely different. Why you want to make your sitting like Allah sitting, or Allah sitting like you're sitting? Why? So it's enough for you to understand from that he is capable and he's overwhelming in control, that everything in his kingdom in order. Because the throne is the representation of empowering the king, and that everything in order under his hand, and everybody is his subject in his kingdom. When we say so-and-so king, so-and-so or prince, he sat on the throne, means everything in order, he's the governor, nobody argue about it, and everybody hear and obey. So we say Allah having a throne suitable for his divinity, and we understand it from the power and the wisdom of managing the universe, and that's it. So like if you go to a Bedouin who live in a tent, he never been in city or town, then you describe for him, you know, a big palace, he will not understand.
وبعد ذلك قلنا له إن فلان له بيت عجيب في مكان كذا، فكيف يتصور ذلك البيت؟ يتصوره على مستوى لم يره أم سيأتي إلى متصورات كان يعرفها ويقول بيت زيه.
So how he is going to handle this? Is he going to use some surrounding things? He's like in the desert, he has only tent there. So he will try to describe it of what he knows. That's it. It's kind of like impossible for him to understand something he never seen. This is again, that you see something, then you give it a name, we see something, then you understand the meaning of it.
إذا ما ذهب للواقع وجد بيتا آخر من لوع آخر لم يدخل تحت تصوره.
So when you go and see it in reality, he will admit that this was impossible, that he can comprehend and imagine such thing.
لأن مثل هذه المرائي ما كانت تتصور وهو لم يرها، فإذا كان ذلك في معلومات البشر.
If this is for limitation of a Bedouin, how about us with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala?
في مصنوعات البشر، فإذا ما وصف الحق نفسه بشيء بعضه في كونه فيجب أن أنسبه لله كما نسبه الله لنفسه.
So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describe himself with something in our dictionary, in our universe, we should not negate it, but we negate our similarity to him, and we negate that we understand it. How? Okay, and leave it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as is, and understand all of it, the power and the capability and so forth.
فلا أعطل وبعد ذلك أقول ولكن له يدا تناسبه.
So he has a hand suitable to him, has a face suitable to him, because his attribute different from my attributes, so everything he describes himself with, we go along.
به نفسي في إطار ليس كمثله شيء. بعد ذلك قد يظن ظن أن العجز عن إدراك التصور الإلهي سبة للعقل.
And some people think if you are not able to comprehend the characteristic of the divinity, means your brain is no good. It's not true. And we give example of the student who decide, I cannot do this exam. This is for university and I'm in a private school.
نقول له هو كمال للعقل.
It is perfection for the brain to admit his limitation. Remember the Clint Eastwood say a man has to know his limitation. This is accurate.
لماذا؟ إذا جئت لولد في الإعدادية وجئت له بتمرين هندسي من كلية الهندسة وقلت له حل ذلك التمرين.
So he's saying the story about the student
فأخذ يلخبط
who
وقعد طول النهار
engineering question from high school, from university. I spent the whole day, I couldn't do it.
مسك التمرين كده وقال لك لا أنا ما أقدرش أحله.
Another student said, oh, look at it, say, I cannot solve this.
من منهما صاحب العقل
Who has a good brain? The one he said, I can't do it. Admit the truth, you know.
أقوى. هل الذي شرع ليحل أم
The one who tried to be brave to do it, which he is limited to start with, or the one knows his limitation and said, no, I'm sorry, I can't do it.
الذي امتنع عن الحل. الذي امتنع عن الحل لأنه ما دام عرف أن ذلك التمرين ليس في مكنة عقله الآن والمواد التي أخذها لا يمكن أن توجد مفتاحا لذلك التمرين يبقى فهم التمرين. إنما اللي قاعد يلخبط ظنه في يبقى مش فاهم. يبقى إذا أدي معنى العجز عن الإدراك إدراك.
So when you admit that you cannot comprehend, this in itself comprehension. When you know your limitation, like you respect, I think Imam Malik said, when people ask you and you say no, I don't know, you give a good verdict.
ما دمت عجزت عن أن تدرك تبقى أدركت.
When you know you are limited, you cannot do it, means you know how to do it. Then you do it the right way by admitting, I'm sorry, I can't carry this weight.
فما دمت قد أدركت أن ذات الحق وكل التصورات عنه لا يمكن أن تعرف إلا منه هو.
When you realize that all that imagination and characteristics and attributes and everything belongs to Allah, about Allah, comes only from Him, then you comprehend. Then you made it as a good believer.
هو الذي يقول أنا كذا وأنا كذا.
He is the one who say, I am this, I am this, I am that, I do this, I do that.
أنا كذا وأنا كذا وبعد ذلك لا تستعجب ذلك لأن بعض عناصرك وهي الروح لا تعرف تصورها وهي موجودة فيك ولذلك يقول الله قل الروح من أمر ربي.
And Allah said, the spirit is from the affairs of Allah and His ordinance. So you don't understand it, the spirit. You will know the spirit of Allah. As a matter of fact, Prophet Jesus, Allah will ask him, did you say to the people to worship me and my mother besides Allah? He said, oh Allah, you know what is in me, I don't know what is in you. I don't, you know myself, I don't know yourself. And you know, when I was with them, I told them to worship Allah, and after I went, you know what they have done. If you punish them, they are your worshipper, and so forth. Beautiful conversation. And you never got from knowledge but little. And Allah said, it is in your soul, don't you see? Mean the truth and the similitude, the examples.
وبعد ذلك إذا خرجت الروح من الجسد ماذا يكون رمة؟ فكأن قيومية الحق إن تخلت عن هذا الوجود يكون عدما.
Then when the soul, Allah let go, doesn't nourish it anymore, you become nothing. Your body become nothing.
فإذا قلنا لك إن الإله الغيب اللي ما تعرفش صورته ولا تقدر تتصوره هو الذي يدير الكون فصدق.
So when we tell you Allah, the creator, the God who manage everything which you don't know and you don't see, you better believe it.
لأن الروح وهي فيك لم تستطع.
Because the soul, when it was inside you, you didn't even know it.
إدراكها ومعرفتها ومع ذلك تدير آلتك وهي سبب حياتك.
Which it was managing you and it was the reason of your living.
لطيف. سؤال آخر بس رجاء يكون في موضوع العقل.
Now I'm going to add one point and we finish, which I call it the 6 upper direction idol. There is a scholar called Ibn Taymiyyah. He was not pure Arab because they called him by his mother name. Arab don't do that. He called a man who's his father name. And he has a lot of controversial. He followed a school headed by Ahmad ibn Hanbal, top scholar, and instead of following him, they follow the head of the school, they follow Ibn Taymiyyah, and he was in 600 years, and they tried to call him with attributes as if he was in the first generation. Anyhow, to cut it short, he introduced this kind of spirit of a location. God should be in location and has to be above. And they decided to have the earth flat to make him above. And of course, we know there is nothing called above because the earth is not flat. And when you ask them, are you believing that Allah is in a Geha, in a location, direction? They say no, but he's above. How come he's above if he said no? So I call it the upper 6 direction idol. Muslim and especially Raza and Ghazali, they led that against Ibn Taymiyyah. But the Wahhabi and ISS and all these guys, they come from the back door and try to make this man almost number 1. They call him Sheikh al-Islam. And this stupid title doesn't exist. Like it doesn't exist amongst the Sahaba and the three generation to go to be Sheikh of Islam. You can be Sheikh means old man, aged man, or maybe knowledgeable, but not Sheikh of Islam. We don't have that. So I just thought to let you know that, because just to know how the Wahhabis who killed 300,050 in Syria, most of the army leaders were graduate from Wahhabi schools in Mecca and Medina and Riyadh and Jeddah and so forth. I don't want to go far, but I'm just explaining to you that Sheikh is right about the attributes of Allah, because they describe that Allah having hands like us, he sit like us, image of Adam, man like Adam, Allah like Adam, and all this is against what Sheikh explained today. And they say the throne is 60 yards arm length, and Allah is arm length, sitting throne, but don't touch it. Stupid stuff. It's almost like the Jew who worship the calf. So all this is not from the spirit of Islam, alhamdulillah. And I just warning you from this. So if you are not a Muslim in Islam, stay away from Ibn Taymiyyah. Focus on Imam Shafi'i, Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal. Stay away from Ibn Taymiyyah because it's controversial. And Razi and Ghazali are really top. I thank you much for being patient to watch 2 hours and a half almost, but it's worth it. Thank you much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.